the whole night, which kind of spawned the idea of this, was like really, really cool. It was like probably one of the highlights of my year, to be honest. And like Sarah and I went, our friend Tyler invited us. I knew you and your name, obviously, so Sarah and I are kind of up for whatever, especially like if we don't have anything else on the horizon. We had nothing to do that night, so we just immediately said yes. Went with our friend to the theater to see your movie and a few others. It was so cool. Like that, I don't love the word vibe, but the vibe of it was really awesome. It was a huge turnout. I don't think I could get even a portion of those people in the room for anything I've ever done. So it was very cool, and congratulations. I know it was kind of recently, but it feels like forever ago. But I don't know, for you, like, does it feel way in the past or like it just happened?
I'm definitely still like riding the high of it a little bit for sure. We're still rolling out stuff on social media to try and like obviously get more people to like watch it online and stuff, but it is kind of like the season of dropping ski movies is like right before the actual ski season starts. So it's kind of like, yeah, once it drops and then I'm like skiing a week later, yeah, it kind of falls into the rear view mirror pretty fast. But like we've already gotten started on our next project. I actually went out with Tyler last weekend and last night, so he's going to be joining the crew this year and filming with us.
That's hilarious. Put him on blast a bit. I was kind of curious why. Like, I don't know anything really about ski culture. Like, I know a little bit about a couple cultures that I'm involved with, and then I'm really interested when I get a glimpse into other ones. Like, hence why I'm about to ask you probably dumb questions about it all. It's just 'cause I'm curious, but I know Tyler skis. He seems to be a good skier, seems to align with a lot of the stuff in those videos. I wondered if you guys knew each other or if you had or planned on filming together, but that's very cool that everyone's kind of teaming up for whatever they're about to team up for.
Yeah, I had actually met Tyler last year, early season. There was a rail jam at Edmonton Ski Club that I was one of the judges and the MC for, and he pulled up and just like absolutely threw down, and he ended up winning. So that was like kind of like the first time we met, and then skied like a couple times together last year, and then yeah, like after the premiere this year, we got chatting, and he was super eager to get after it in the streets this year. So yeah, we kind of just started hanging out, and yeah, last weekend we ended up going out and getting a couple clips. His brother came out too, which was nice because he has a camera and can film and stuff. So it's always nice having extra hands when it comes to filming.
Yeah, me and his brother are they good at everything I know them for. They're kind of excelling at. They're both like overachievers in sports, at least.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Tyler is a crazy good skier, and like he's like creative, and he knows how to like, talk about like angles and like, just like that general like creative energy is kind of like nice to have when you're making these kind of projects.
What do you feel, or how do you feel about? I love asking people this type of thing, but it doesn't come up that often. I'm personally like extremely impatient. Like when I have an idea that I want to go forward with, which is kind of rare, but even when I have an idea like that, I need to act on it soon, and there isn't like that much, like let's say I have film to be developed. It like pains me to wait on a bunch of film. I need to like take it in the role immediately. But you worked on this movie for years, so like how did you have to learn to be patient, or like is that always something you were okay with?
I mean, I definitely like that like kind of instant gratification of like working on something filming it, looking at the footy, putting it all together like really fast. But definitely like with the street videos, it takes so much time and effort to get one clip that you kind of get forced into waiting. And especially like we filmed this last one for 2 years just because that's how long it took us to get enough footage to where we were like happy with the product that we were going to put out. And it does, I would say that the worst part of the waiting is like after you've like that you've wrapped up filming, like let's say in March the previous year, it's that waiting of like 5 6 months till when you actually put out the video in October, November, whatever. That's like the toughest part because I even with the last movie, I had it done, like a month before, and then it's kind of just like sitting there, kind of waiting for people to see, and that's definitely like the hardest part about waiting. But yeah, definitely had to like kind of teach myself to just like be patient with it and like wait till I'm like super happy with the product that we're going to put out. And yeah, I think that's like the best result is like when you wait all that time and like then you're solid on like what the product you're putting out is. But yeah.
So, like, do you impose deadlines on you or the people contributing, or is it like really that relaxed? Like, just we want to put together a bunch of footage, and however long it takes to accumulate that footage is how long it'll take to make. Or like, did you say we want to put it out next year?
Yeah, like I would say by the end of the first year, we had like a solid enough base where I knew by the season afterwards that we were going to have enough footage to like put out a product that was like good enough. But like the first street video that we did, I was definitely like a lot more eager to get that one out. So I was like, we're just going to film for 1 year on this one and kind of like whatever we come out with at the end, like we're just going to like put out this street project because it was our first one and we really had no idea what we were doing. And then I think after that one got out and everyone kind of like had time to sit with it for a bit, we kind of all decided that like the next one, if we don't get it done in a year, that's fine. We just want to have something that we're like really happy with and that everybody is really stoked on.
I mean, this is gonna be a quite like novice question, but how would you compare the scene, like the free ski or the street ski scene here in Edmonton compared to other places? Because I've talked to a few people recently that know a bit about it, like more than I would, and they seem to think we're kind of like a bit advanced, I guess, and they kind of like look at what we have with a bit of envy. And like, would you agree with that, or do you think it has like miles to go?
No, absolutely. Like I think the local scene here has been like pretty low key for a long time. Like kind of before we started filming here, there was another crew slash brand called Four West that was like filming and making street videos in Edmonton. But people have been coming here since like the early 2000s to film street just because we are like, we're a very northern populated capital city. So it's like we have all the infrastructure of a big city, plus we get that weather that I think kind of just accumulates into this like perfect formula for a city where like street skiing is becoming really popular. And even like the last 2 years, there's been guys from Salt Lake City that have come up here to ski, and there's like, tons of snowboard crews from all over the place that have come up here to ride street. So I kind of feel like there's like a new kind of injection of like external riders into the Edmonton street scene, but it definitely like, I think it gets the people around Edmonton a little bit more like hyped and they're like kind of looking around their city a little bit more like, oh yeah, like there is a lot of spots here and there's a lot of stuff to hit here. So yeah, I think it's like, I mean, compared to like Calgary, where, you know, it's definitely a little bit more popular and there's definitely like a lot more spots there, but it's kind of like even last year there was probably or like with the videos that came out this year filming in Calgary last year, like there was probably, 5 or 6 different crews that were down in Calgary filming. Whereas like up in Edmonton, there's only been like one recent ski crew that's like come here. So I think like Calgary definitely gets a little bit more love, but maybe now that Calgary's kind of been played out a little bit more, we might see more crews coming up to Edmonton to ride and stuff like that. So
What are the reactions from like civilians that see you guys filming? Because I like I get the idea of like what civilians think about skateboarding. Like growing up, I was on the other end of that, but skateboarding is pretty like, it's not that weird to see someone skateboarding now. I feel like most people have seen that a ton of times. But the street skiing thing seems to be, kind of like, skating would have been in the 80s or 90s, like something people haven't seen a lot. So I just wonder, like, if you ran into any like civilians that are just like cool about it, but like really blown away by what's happening.
Yeah, there's definitely like there's a certain level of intrigue I think that comes with like street skiing because like, most people either ski themselves or like, have relatives that ski and stuff like that. So when they see people kind of doing this like form of skiing that's, a lot different than what they're used to, I think that they kind of just like are super interested in it. And I would say like, 99% of the time people think it's like really cool and like they kind of, I think they just like to see people like kind of outside doing that kind of stuff. And yeah, we've definitely had people who are like, just like super hyped on what we're doing. They want to know like where they can watch these videos and like how they can like follow along to see what we're doing and stuff like that. So I think it does come down to like that fact that yeah, like everybody either like especially around Edmonton, like there's a lot of people who just like kind of ski casually here, or they know somebody who skis casually. So I think that that kind of like piques the interest in street skiing.
Yeah, exactly. I love the idea of like people knowing what it is and relating to it, but like they probably never seen someone do any of the stuff in the video. Or like, I mean, they probably never even thought like these skis can also be used on like a 15 stair handrail. So they're probably stoked, but probably confused as well.
Yeah, definitely like it definitely makes people a little confused sometimes, like when you're explaining what you're doing and they just like they can kind of understand it like you're saying because like they might ski or whatever, but yeah, it's like they've never seen this like ultra niche, side of skiing.
Do you guys get kicked out of spots? Like, is it similar to skating that way?
Yeah, we've definitely been kicked out of a few spots. Most of them are like, people I feel like skating and skiing have like different connotations when it comes to street riding. Like, a lot of people see skating as like very destructive, whereas like a lot of people don't see skiing like that, I find. Um, in reality, like they're probably about the same level of, like, roughing up handrails and ledges and stuff like that. But it does seem to have like, even like in my experience filming skating, like people definitely have like a way more positive connotation when it comes to skiing. And like most of the times the only like like run-ins with the cops or whatever that we've had is like if we're like kind of disrupting traffic or stuff like that. But it's pretty rare that we get kicked out. Like we even had there's this one spot we were hitting 2 years ago and the like building manager he like drove over and he was like, oh yeah, I saw my security system was going off and like just wanted to like come check out what you guys are doing. And he just like he kind of saw that we had made like a couple piles of snow and he just asked if we were going to move them and we were like, yeah, we'll move them after. And he was all good with it. So it is kind of weird how there's like the different perceptions between skiing and skating. Um, but yeah, like most of the time we don't run into much trouble.
Yeah, no, I totally understand like the idea of it being sort of similar damage, but people like treating it way differently. Like people always, to me, like people have always kind of been okay with nowhere fast stickers, but if it was graffiti, they would probably hate it. And to me, it's like the exact same thing. It's a sticker on a surface that it's not supposed to be on, but one of them they like and one of them they don't like. And to be on the other end of that, like you're lucky that they do like it. Like you guys are lucky that people kind of embrace the skiing more than the skating, but it's weird to know both sides and then see people treat it differently.
Yeah, and I think that that might just be like, the kind of the culture that's like promoted around skiing and skateboarding. Like I definitely think that like, skating kind of had more of like like kind of that like destructive like FU kind of like, culture to it that like I think kind of gets like promoted to the public a lot of the time. Whereas like kind of what I was saying before, like everybody around here like either skis or knows somebody who skis. So it's kind of like, they don't see that side of it because it's like that's not the side of skiing that's like promoted mainly to the public. Is it's like, it's like a fun activity that you can go do with like your grandparents or whatever.
Yeah, I guess skating kind of started like really underground, really misunderstood, and now it's grown into something the general public really loves. And skiing is not like people don't like it now, but it kind of started as more of a like acceptable kind of family sport, and then you guys have like taken it and ran with it, and like the whole free skiing thing is newer than like the alpine, right? Like I don't want to tell you about skiing or say things wrong, but I assume people were skiing hills and mountains for decades before they started doing what you guys are doing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was uh 1926 was like the first like ski resort in Alberta. And then, free skiing didn't really come around until like the late 90s. So yeah, people were, kind of skiing for like almost 75 years in Alberta before they got their first taste of freestyle skiing and free skiers.
That's insane. I don't know. Like, obviously, you would know all the facts. Do you know which hill that was? Is it still one of the ones operating now?
It's Mount Norquay, which is just outside of Banff. You can actually see Banff from one of the chairlifts there. There's like super iconic photos of like Marilyn Monroe like sitting on the chairlift and stuff like that. But yeah, they started cutting trail there in the early 20s, and then it started operating as a ski resort in 1926, I'm pretty sure.
That's funny. I've definitely seen the Marilyn Monroe photos, but that I didn't. I knew they were in like skiing context, but I didn't know the full timestamp of them all. That's cool. Can I guess I don't know if this is backtracking or going forward, but what about your personal like journey, I guess, in skiing? When did you actually start skiing, and what got you skiing in the first place?
Yeah, I've been skiing since I was like 5 or 6 years old, but it was my dad. My dad, he's from Hinton, grew up skiing in Marmot and stuff like that. And so I got on skis from a really young age just because that was something I think that he wanted for me. And then um, it was nice. Like my dad's a very, very advanced skier. So I basically grew up with somebody who could teach me how to ski. I never really took lessons or anything like that. And then just growing up, yeah, me and my dad would go skiing all the time. And I don't really know exactly what it was that like first got me into like free skiing, but we had this like school program called Ski Club. And so like every Thursday you would like bring your ski stuff to school. And then at about like 2:30, they'd kind of call everyone out of class and you'd all get on a bus and we'd all go out to Rabbit Hill. And I didn't really have any other friends that were like skiers. I grew up with like most of my like for my first kind of years getting into the park, it was always snowboarders. And I think that's what kind of like got me into park skiing was like all my snowboard friends wanted to go in the park and I was kind of just looking to ride with them. So I ended up like, starting to learn how to like hit boxes and stuff like that. And then, yeah, kind of when I was like, I don't know, like 14, 15, I kind of met the current group that I'm like still riding with today. But yeah, my dad is like the main reason I got into skiing and he's like still such a huge, huge influence on my skiing and stuff like that. We still go out every year skiing together and still I like legitimately I cannot be faster than him and I don't understand it.
Was he at the theater that night?
He wasn't actually. He has come to the theater for some of my other premieres, but they were on holidays that night.
But I assume he's seen the video now.
Yeah, I did send it to them while they were in Hawaii and they had their own little premiere with their friends that night. So
Very cool. Um, Oh, I really, really appreciate. I appreciate just you gifting me the magazine, but also that there was a magazine. Like to me, it seems so like kind of seamless that you would have like a print, like a visual thing like that to go along with the video. Yet I don't see a lot of people, especially around here, kind of putting two and two together. So I really really like the fact that you like made a point to make that happen and had something to go along with it. How was the response to it? Like, what do you think people thought about it?
Um, I mean, the response to the magazine was incredible. Like I only ordered 30 of them originally, and I had sold all of the 30 that night. And then I ended up ordering another 25, and those are all gone now too. So yeah, the response to the magazine was absolutely incredible. And like it was something that I had wanted to do for a long time, was to like make something in print. And a couple years ago, like my friend Cole, who I ski with, he started really getting into photography and stuff like that. So then when we started filming for this Second Street video, we kind of had like, just like talked about it briefly at the beginning, like, oh, we'll shoot all these photos and we'll kind of see what we have at the end. And like, it'd be sweet to like put together a magazine and stuff. So, yeah, I was very, very grateful for everyone who grabbed a magazine, and it's just cool having it out there.
I don't know anything about making movies really, but I know a bit about like kind of curating or publishing magazines and zines. It's a lot of effort. I feel a lot of time people don't realize they're just holding the finished product and they don't know what went into it. Like, what if you had to guess how is the like work split between video and magazine? Like, did it take equal effort to do both, or was one easier or harder than the other one?
I think like the video tends to like, in my head at least, come together a little bit more. And I think that's just from, this was my first time like taking a crack at making a magazine. So I think that like I've made a lot of videos before this one. So the video was already kind of coming together in my mind, like even towards the end of filming, like how I wanted to structure everything and stuff like that. But then when it came to the magazine, like I had to learn how to use InDesign. I had to like, kind of up my Photoshop game a little bit and stuff like that. So there's definitely like a bigger learning curve going into the magazine. So I'd say that it honestly probably took a little bit more work than the video um, to to come up with that final product. But I'm incredibly happy with how it came out. And I have like my one friend Liam, who works at Stratus, who printed the magazine. He was a huge help, like kind of helping me learn InDesign and like giving me some tips in Photoshop and stuff like that. But
Yeah, it'll probably I mean, in my experience, it's always hard to learn all that stuff. It's a lot of memorization and muscle memory and stuff. But next time you want to do like a print project like that, it'll probably take like half the time, maybe even less than it took the first time.
yeah, and I like we've already started shooting for another video, and like we're definitely like I would like to make another magazine to go along with the video, and I'd like to kind of expand it more. Now that I have that kind of base set of skills of making my first print project, I think it just opens the door for like what else we can do as a crew for the next magazine.
So like you guys took barely any days off. Like if you're already on to the next one, it was only a couple weeks ago this one came out. Is that also like do you like to operate that way without like getting rusty by taking time off, or is that just coincidental like how this one worked?
It's definitely like super weather dependent. Like we got the snow early, and it was, good weather for filming, so we kind of thought we might as well just get out there and start. Because like even I think it was 2 years ago, like we didn't even have snow on the ground until halfway through January, basically. So it's kind of with that change in winters that we were talking about, like we get these random periods of mild weather now where all the snow might disappear. So kind of just like go out and get it while we can. Um, and this year it just happened to be super early. Like I think last year we actually had gotten clips in November, which was even earlier than this year. But yeah, it kind of just worked out with the weather that way.
I guess now this would be backtracking, but you talked about ski club and then you would go to Rabbit Hill. Is that the first like is that where you learn to ski was Rabbit Hill?
Yeah, yeah, that was where I went for like my first time skiing, and then growing up, that's where I've been going. I've had a season's pass there for probably close to 15 years now. And that's kind of just been like, yeah, the spot to go to for me and my friends.
And you're like is in the grand scheme is that where everyone kind of goes or are there different like smaller crews loyal to different hills?
Yeah, there's definitely like I think that like in my opinion at least Rabbit Hill is the place to be. I think that the park is built the best there. They usually have like the most interesting features and like features that are a little bit more technical and difficult to hit. But like even ESC the last couple of years like they had a really good park builder so we were going out there a little bit more regularly. And then even Sunridge we kind of go out there once a year, but there's definitely like crews at kind of like each hill that like do their own thing. And especially at Sunridge, like that's where the and Edmonton Ski Club, that's where all like the freestyle team kids train. So those are kind of like their hubs. And there's lots of like good kids coming out of those two hills.
I think Tyler and JP are Sunridge people, right?
Yeah, they were park crew there for a while. I do know that Tyler just he got a season's pass at Rabbit Hill this year. He's been coming out there a lot more often, which is good to see.
Yeah, I remember in conversations they both mentioned Sunridge, so I am pretending that I know. But that's the one kind of by Folk Fest Hill, right?
That would be Edmonton Ski Club is the one downtown behind the Matart, and then Sunridge is out on the east end of town, like just off the Yellowhead and Anthony Henday, kind of by Sherwood Park.
That's funny. I think my entire life I thought Sunridge was the one by the motor.
I know that's Edmonton Ski Club, which is yeah, the oldest one in the city for sure.
That actually was going to be the next question since I assume you knew your history. I was going to ask was the first hill built in the city.
Yeah, I believe that it was Edmonton Ski Club. There was an even older resort outside of the city by Stony Plain called Lake Eden. But yeah, Edmonton Ski Club would be like the oldest one still in operation in the city.
Do you think it's easier for skiers and snowboarders to kind of like live in harmony these days? Like anyone I've talked to, either on here or just in real life, like in skiing or snowboarding, they just talk about like the other one totally like harmoniously. There's no like animosity between them, and I'm not saying there should be at all. But I remember being younger and snowboarding, and there was like almost like beef between skiers and snowboarders. It was like snowboarding, maybe it's because I was in it that it seemed that way, but they didn't really seem to get along, and there wasn't really like you wouldn't have a crew of snowboarders with a friend that skied and everyone kind of hanging out. And now it seems that that happens like that's kind of the standard, I guess. So, like, what was it like when you were really young starting? Was there animosity or was it all good between everyone?
I wouldn't say there was like any animosity. I definitely think like when I was like a lot younger and I was the only skier riding with a group of snowboarders, like I definitely got like teased and bugged about it, but it was never like, like actual beef. But I even remember at Rabbit Hill, like the park crew, the guys that build the park and like look after it on a day-to-day basis, like there was no skiers allowed on park crew at Rabbit Hill for like the longest time. And then now it's like obviously like everyone lives in harmony now, but yeah, definitely like back in the day, I kind of remember a little bit more of a divide than we have today. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's like we're all out there doing the same thing. There's no reason to like have beef over like what you're riding.
Yeah, for sure. It seems to me, I don't know, like I guess shouldn't say one or the other, but it seems like skiing almost took the place of snowboarding in a way. Like I know more people who ski these days than snowboard. I also know more. I don't know if I should say cool. I might get in trouble, but I feel like skiing is almost cooler in a way. I said that when I had Cole Richardson on here, and he was laughing that I thought that, but yeah, I think skiing might be the cool one now.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because like even as a skier, I would say that I tend to watch like more snowboard content just because like I think that there's more ways to hit a rail on a snowboard and there's just like more tricks in general to do on rails on a snowboard. So like personally, I've always said that snowboarding is cooler and I still stand by that point, but I do think like even in the last like 10 years there's been a huge shift, especially in Edmonton. I've noticed like I remember growing up, like being in the park, being one of like the only skiers that was like in there. And yeah, I would definitely say now, like there's almost more skiers like in the park than snowboarders some days, which like, yeah, 10 years ago, I would have never seen.
Complete pivot in. So I guess this is all under the same umbrella, but like to me, it seems like you can get hurt skiing so much easier. Like because I feel each leg can twist on its own. Like when I mean, being in my wheelchair, I look at people even like walking, and I think like that's dangerous. Like they can get hurt doing that, and then skateboarding, snowboarding is extreme, but skiing it like almost makes me anxious to watch the video. It seems like you can get hurt so much easier. But maybe that's just me. And Sarah said, make sure you ask Parker because he'll obviously have like a real answer based on his experience. But what do you think? Which one is more dangerous?
I think that they both kind of have their specific dangers. Like I think skiing is more intuitive because your feet are separated. And you can kind of like if you're falling, you can kind of like, move your legs underneath you or like kind of like at least move your legs to whatever, like mitigate the damage in your fall. Whereas like on snowboarding, your legs are like stuck in one spot. So it's kind of like if you're tumbling, like you're going down and there's like not really much you can do to get out of it. But then yeah, with skiing, like having your legs moving independently definitely like opens the door for like more, like knee injuries, I think, and stuff like that. But like again, skiing also has like snowboard bindings, you're locked in, you're not coming out of them. Whereas like ski bindings, they have a spring in them that's like it goes into your how long your boot is, how tall you are, how heavy you are, and then basically that'll give like a number. And then your ski is designed to spit you out of that binding when it's under a certain threshold of pressure, essentially, so that your leg isn't twisting around and getting mangled. So there is like the one safety kind of aspect of skiing where you can be released from your bindings that snowboarding doesn't have. So I mean, both of them you can get severely hurt in, but I would say that I don't know. I think snowboarding might be a little bit more dangerous.
Yeah, that I mean it makes sense having it explained properly, but I would have assumed the opposite, but I don't know anything about it, so thank you for providing the science behind it. I guess now I know. I I don't really this isn't a question. I just wanted to make a point of saying that I think the my favorite branding in the city is the skiers logo, like the skier sport shop. I think is the best signage in the city.
Yeah, I absolutely love Skier Sport Shop. I think that like that logo that they have is so iconic. It's been around for so long. Like, you see people who are, a lot older than I am at least that have that sticker on their helmet. And yeah, I think that the branding's unreal. And especially like the hats that Spencer does at Skiers too, like the new era hats that he gets done up. Like you just see those hats everywhere, and it's kind of, it's nice when you're walking around in public with one and you like see another person wearing one, and you kind of like you have that little moment together. But yeah, no, the skiers branding is like, in my opinion, it's super iconic and probably the most iconic in the city.
Oh, I mean this is completely anecdotal, but it's funny. It's on Like what is I fixate on the weirdest stuff, so I have favorite branding in the city wherever I go. I have a sign that I like or don't like. So skiers is my favorite in the city, but it's right next to my least favorite to ever exist in the world. The awnings of Remedy Cafe are absolutely horrible. Like they're and Remedy is okay. Like I don't mean anything. I don't want to deter anyone from supporting them, but the awnings are like really bad. And yeah, it's just funny juxtapositioning that it's like my least favorite and then my favorite. And I like, especially now, it's dark almost every hour of the day. So at night you get both lit up, and one is my favorite and one I hate.
Yeah, that's funny. I do think that that sign that they have at skiers is like just so iconic and like, yeah, it's funny that your least favorite is right down the road there.
And if you're in like the right spot, you can see them
Yeah,
both
both.
at
Yeah.
once, and it's uh just a jumble of
Yeah.
stuff from my brain. It's too much.
If you ever get the chance on the back side of skiers, they actually have like the original, like old school logo on their like original sign and it's bolted to the back. You should take a look at that.
Oh, I mean I've been back there. I've probably seen it a ton of
Yeah,
times.
it's
And
slightly different. It's just slightly different than the new one. The skier and the logo is a little bit more cartoonish, I would say.
do you know like offhand when that like how long has that been their logo?
I think that the new one has been around for quite some time. Like the business has been around for over 60 years. So I think it was probably like I wouldn't be able to put an exact date on when the new logo came in, but I would say like at least in the 2000s, like in the last like 20 years is kind of when they implemented that new logo.
How did you like get I mean, you don't need to like detail your interview or whatever, but how did you end up working there? Like, how long have you been with them?
I actually like I didn't even interview. I had been going there for I would say like a season or two before, just to like get my skis and stuff like that. And then it was actually the year that we were premiering Lazy Mary, our first street project. And I was looking for work for the winter, and they had kind of just like put a posting out, and we were already talking, obviously, with like the movie being in their premiere and stuff like that. And then it was like, it was like the Monday after the premiere on Saturday, I started working there. And then I kind of just got hired as like a tech, just like tuning out skis and fixing skis at first, but then I moved into selling and kind of helping out with like social media and some of the branding and stuff like that. So yeah, it was honestly like it was no interview. They kind of just said, yeah, come on by and you start on Monday.
That's awesome. I don't know, something just like I was saying, the whole event I thought was really cool. I also like am kind of obsessed with skiers sport job. And like I don't think ever shop there, and there like and as someone in a wheelchair, there isn't much need for most of the stuff they sell. But from looking at it online and just kind of in a voyeuristic way, I really appreciate what they're doing, and it seems to me like they're kind of like fueling an entire culture of people. Like you said, I see people in those hats constant. Like it might actually be the most prominent local hat that I see when I'm out. Like I see infinitely more of those than Nowhere Fast or anything. So it's really impressive to me, like just in a like marketing and like legacy way. So it's very cool that like they exist and that you're a part of it and you're all kind of helping like further everything, and it's very cool. And yeah, I can't say enough how much their logo is light years above any of the logo as my favorite. And I have some other weird friends that fixate on this too, and we've all kind of unanimously decided skiers is the best logo in the city.
Yeah, they're the best ski shop in town. And yeah, like you said, like it's definitely kind of like I would say like the cultural spot for skiing in Edmonton for sure. Like there's just so much history around that shop and that building specifically. Kind of a cool anecdote, but like the current head coach of the United States half pipe team, he is from Sherwood Park and he actually worked in the back shop at Skier. So there's like a little like note above the station that I worked at that's like signed by him, and like he'll be going to the Olympics this year and stuff like that. So just like yeah, there's just so much history there, and I think it's awesome that it's still a family run business and they keep that going.
I think I know I don't know if he's your boss or like Nick Sadaway.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
knew him way back in the day, and when Sarah and I were at the movie, when he was on stage, we both were like, "Who?" Like we know this person for sure. Like, who could this be? And then we were like, "Is it Nick? Like, does he still work there?" And then we looked it up and figured it all out. And it like I haven't talked to him in years, but we used to be like fairly close. So that was just an extra like level of relatability to me, like becoming kind of obsessed with the culture you guys have going on.
Yeah, Sadoway's awesome. He's had that job of emceeing the film fest like as long as I've been going there, and I've been going for quite a while now.
He's really good at it. Like he's the exact person that should be speaking to a crowd, I feel.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
They like actually that's what I was gonna ask you too. How you feel about like standing public speaking or whatever, like being on stage and having your video announced, like, does that make you nervous or do you like that energy?
I I've never had a problem with like public speaking, but like I definitely when it comes to like getting up on stage and like talking about something that I've created that's like honestly like quite personal to me, like I do find that more nerve-wracking than like let's say when I was in university and like had to do a group project in front of like the whole class or whatever. Like it's definitely like it's the personal aspect of like showing something that you've been working on for so long that I think makes me nervous. But I like getting up there and like trying to get everyone a little bit excited for what they're about to see. And like I'm not usually the best at it, but like I have guys on the crew, like I'm sure you saw Lane who grabbed the mic and was getting everyone fired up. Like
Oh yeah, that guy was also very good at exactly like commanding a crowd and getting them excited. He was the perfect man for the job.
yeah, yeah. Everyone always wants me to go up and talk every year, and I'm like, I don't know, somebody else should do it. And then I usually get up there, and then yeah, usually Lane grabs the mic, and he's the man for the job.
How many years have you been attending the festival?
I went for the first time, I think back in 2017. And that was actually a year, it might have been 2018, 2017 or 2018, but I remember Four West premiered one of their like kind of group projects that had like a little bit of street and a little bit of backcountry, a little bit of park riding and stuff like that. And I remember like that being like a very important moment for me where I was like very inspired, like, oh, it'd be cool to do this one day, like get up on the stage and like show one of our projects. And I hadn't even started making videos like seriously at that point. So yeah, so I'd say like I don't know, maybe 7 8 years I've been going.
Is that Four West crew still active?
Yeah, they still make mostly snow pants now. But yeah, they're the folks who run it, they lived in Calgary and now they live on a little farm in BC. So yeah, they're still making product and still putting out content, and they do like lots of events and stuff like that. Like they just had a girls gathering at Sunshine where they get a bunch of ladies together and have a day of riding and stuff like that.
It's cool to hear the lineage, like you guys were inspired by someone. I'm sure they were inspired by someone else. Is my friend Tommy Berlin, was he involved with them at all?
I don't think Tommy was involved with them. There was oh, I'm trying to remember. These are names from way back in the day. Like Mark Valter is the one who runs it. He's a skier, and then like other skiers that were in it were like Ryan Kennedy and like Matt Martin and some of those guys.
I don't know if I know any of them, but all of those names very familiar for sure. I've heard them many times.
Yeah, they were kind of like the squad back in like yeah 2015 to 2020, I would say. Even now, a lot of those guys are still skiing, but not here anymore.
Now I have some intel that you're a fan of sandwiches. This is what Jed said to ask you about sandwiches.
Yes, big fan of sandwiches.
What's your favorite? Like on a lunch break, let's say at skiers, where in the area do you go?
Um, I worked at Faro for a long time, so I'm pretty loyal to Faro. I usually go get a double egg grick, both of them with hard yolks. And that's usually like my go-to sandwich is Faro, the grick. Best breakfast sandwich in the city.
That's funny. I've never. What's the deal with the hard yolk?
So they serve it with like a runny yolk, but I find if you get two eggs with runny yolks, it's just like an absolute mess of a sandwich. So I usually just get them both hard because like if I'm whatever munching half of it and saving it for later or whatever.
I had no idea that you could do that. My complaint, my only complaint about that sandwich, I guess, would be the mess that the yolk makes. I had no idea that you can get it.
Yeah, now you got some insider info. Get the hard yolk.
That's amazing. I'm glad I asked about sandwiches. I'm glad Jed advised me. What about not in the area? Like what's top sandwich in the city?
I think my personal favorite in the city would have to be the non ho beef saute Vietnamese sandwich or like the banh mi. Banh mi's always been my favorite type of sandwich, but non ho, specifically the White Ave location, is my favorite in the city.
That's really funny. That actually, if someone asked me that question, that probably would be my exact answer. That exact sandwich from that location.
Yeah, it has to be the White Ave location. For some reason, the 97th Street one doesn't taste the same. And that I think like I don't know, maybe it's just about like the vibe of that White Ave one, but yeah. And you can't beat that value either. Like whatever it is, like less than $9 for a sandwich is kind of crazy in this day.
Oh, for sure. And I remember like going there when I was younger when they first kind of opened their White House spot. I think they were like maybe 5 or 6, but like way before all the inflation happened. Like it's still cheap, but it was like dirt cheap before. And quality never went down. It's been good the whole time.
Yeah, honestly, like I have never had a bad sandwich from there, and I go probably once a month to get a sandwich from there.
What about Sarah and Strad displays very unfortunate name at the time, but I think it's called Banh Mi Diddy.
Yes, I have tried Banh Mi Diddy. I still like it. Like I'm always gonna like a Banh Mi. Um, very unfortunate naming on that one though.
Yeah, I think it's good. I just think yeah, they probably aren't as happy with the name choice right now, but I'm sure that will die down and the sandwich spot will hopefully be open longer than the relevancy of his jail time is around.
Yeah.
But you think that Nono is way better?
Personally, I do. It's something about I don't know what it is about that non-ho sandwich. Like the that I think that bread is made by them or it's made by a bakery somewhere around where they operate, and just like that, whatever it is, like the pate that they put on there and like that saute beef, it's just so good.
Yeah, no, it is. It's for sure making
And
me.
a great logo. Great logo.
Oh
Like
yeah, yeah,
if we're
that.
talking about good branding, like that little circle sign that sits above the
Yeah,
door, like I love that thing. I actually bought a painting of that sandwich shop.
I didn't know paintings of that shop existed, but I know exactly what you mean. The character on the like circle sign. Definitely, I should make sure that's on my list of best Edmonton signs. I don't know. I really only have skiers on there. Like I don't have rankings for any other ones. I just think I have best skiers, worst the other one.
Yeah.
What do you think about the either the divide or the like harmony of us and Calgary? I know that was the thing back in the day too. I feel like the people in each city were kind of maybe didn't have beef, but a bit of animosity, a bit of like put offness by other crews. But now the older I get, it seems people get along more than ever. What like how is your crew's relation with any like Calgary crews? Does everyone support everyone, or how does that go?
Yeah, we've never had beef with anyone from Calgary. Elena, who's the girl in our crew, she actually went to Winsport. So she grew up skiing in Calgary quite a bit. So we kind of almost had an in with her with a lot of the guys that skied in Calgary. So yeah, we've never had beef with anybody from Calgary, and like even like out in Banff too. It's kind of like no like nobody's really from Calgary or Edmonton. It's like everybody's just in Banff. So you kind of just like get along with everyone there. We've never really had beef with like anyone, I would say, honestly. Like we're a pretty wholesome crew, honestly.
I mean that's good. It sounds like I'm out here trying to like provoke beef and like want more animosity between cultures. I love that everyone gets along. I just think when I was younger, it didn't really go that way. And then talking to people from Edmonton or Calgary, everyone like seems to have good things to say about each other. People like collaborate more. It seems like yeah, exactly like you're saying. I hear less of Edmonton and Calgary and more of just Alberta. Like
Yeah.
I know a lot of snowboarders from either, and they sort of say they're in like the Alberta snow scene. They're not really claiming either city.
Yeah, I think that's like a really good like definition that people have kind of been like running with is like it's just the Alberta ski scene. Like we're all pretty harmonious and like we all support each other and like we all ride together and stuff like that. So yeah.
Do you ever go out to Salt Lake?
No, I've been wanting to go for premiere season for the last couple years now. I think like the next time that there's like a big video release that I want to go see, I'm definitely going to try and like make it down to Salt Lake. There's also like a lot more crews who've kind of been like doing like a Salt Lake premiere and then like they might do like a New York premiere too. So I've kind of been thinking about like maybe checking out the snow scene in New York because there's a lot of cool stuff happening there. Like I know even Cole did his exhibit there and like Dustbox premieres their video every year in New York and there's one coming out this year called the Jet Skis movie that they premiered in New York as well. So I would just really like to go see the scene in New York. It's like I feel like it's quite different from what we have in Edmonton.
Yeah, I'm just learning about all of like obviously I knew what Salt Lake was, and I assumed that it had like a lot of ties to snow sports, but I'm like just sort of finding out it's like the mecca for all that. And then I've talked to a bunch of people who also are saying New York is like having a huge like moment right now, kind of in like street skiing and fusing more like a visual or an artistic approach with all that stuff. These are like two things that I wasn't fully familiar with until recently, and now I like the idea of kind of going to Salt Lake, and I kind of want to see what's happening in New York for skiing, and I have nothing to do with it except for I've talked to a few years, so now I'm interested.
Yeah, I think New York is just like that kind of like cultural hub of like everything. And there's obviously like a lot of like really good creative energy in New York too. So I think that like, yeah, like you were saying, like a lot more like I feel like a lot of the like, maybe more like corporate, let's call them like videos, like they all get premiered in SLC, but it's definitely more of those like kind of artistically directed ones or like, maybe even more like core in quotation marks premieres kind of happening out in New York. But there's tons of like, yeah, there's just tons of cool premieres happening right now. Like this year was honestly probably one of the biggest years for street skiing I think ever. Like just so many projects coming out from like every video director, every skier. Like there's just so much coming out this year.
That actually reminds me of a question I would have forgot to ask. But there obviously was other videos at the skiers thing, and I think we were only there for one of the nights. So I was wondering, is like would there be a ton of videos that they like only chose a few to play, or is there like a ton of stuff happening and there's like more than enough videos to fill an event like that? Like what, like skiing to me seems huge here, and because I've talked to people lately, it seems like pretty big kind of in my like orbit, I guess. But I just wonder, is that like the true representation everywhere? Like, is there a lot of videos being made all over or no?
Yeah, there is. And there's like tons of videos from different disciplines. Like the night previous to when you guys were there was more of like the big mountain night. So like that's more of like the, kind of like powder films or like mountaineering films or like just kind of those like bigger productions. And then like the second night was kind of more free skiing oriented with like more like park riding and more like street skiing obviously and stuff like that. But there's like every year now it's kind of seems like each brand kind of puts out like a big video, whether it's like big mountain or street or whatever. And definitely like at skiers, like they're showing videos from brands that they carry in store. I think that just like, helps with like people seeing those products and stuff like on the big screen and stuff. But yeah, there's so much ski content to go around every fall. And it is kind of like it's almost I don't even know if I want to say unfortunate, but it's like it's kind of crazy that it has all just like it all comes out at one time. Like it basically all the ski content for the year comes out between, September and November. So it's like you kind of get like overloaded and there's almost like too much to keep up on, but I don't know if that'll ever change or like if it needs to, but yeah.
I didn't really think of it that way. I guess you have like a ton of inspiration and stuff to watch like once a year, but then like do you just like put them on repeat and watch the good ones all year until the next one, or like how does that go?
Yeah, like I usually like it's like the same every year. Like I have my favorites, the ones that I like go back to and watch, and then there's other ones that I might not revisit. But I've definitely made it a point the last like 3, 4 years getting into street skiing, like trying to watch like almost everything that comes out. And even with snowboarding too, like I pretty much watch every like street snowboarding video that comes out that I can find. And yeah, I just like I have a pretty much a playlist where I kind of like the ones that I really like and I want to go back to. I'll like add it to there, and then I really enjoy rewatching videos and kind of seeing the small stuff that might have missed the first go around, or just like yeah, gathering that inspiration for like different ways to film, different ways to hit spots, kind of stuff like that.
So that when you're filming or when you're making a video, do you think of it kind of like as you like how you watch videos and you look for things that you're gonna see like upon multiple watches? Do you factor that into your videos and want stuff in there that other people will find like when they watch it a few times?
Yeah, like I definitely have like, there's like certain videos that I go back to kind of like see how they're filming stuff, especially with like I think that fisheye filming is like really interesting because everyone that films with a fisheye kind of has like a different take on it. And I definitely like I almost like study it like film, like watching like how these guys are moving the camera and how they're letting the rider kind of like pass through the frame and stuff like that. So there's definitely like stuff that I've drawn from videos that I've seen, or even just like a specific like angle of like I might, we might be hitting a spot and I'm like, oh, I've seen kind of a spot similar to this in a video and I really liked this angle that they had. So yeah, definitely like draw lots of inspiration, mostly on the filming side, I would say, of like how things are put together and just like angles and stuff like that.
What your favorite video besides the one you made? Is there anything you've rewatched a couple of times already this year?
Yeah, yeah, there's a lot of good stuff that came out this year. I think for skiing, um, the browser video, which I know Pete talked about when he was on here, I think that that's like definitely going to go down as like a huge cultural moment in skiing. Just like the amount of like people that were in it and like kind of like cameos, and it kind of seemed like it was like the whole ski scene kind of went in on like one really crazy video. And then for snowboarding, the new Atlas, like Atlas 2 video that came out, I think that's like aesthetically like one of my favorite videos. Like it's just very clean. They do a lot of like 16 millimeter that I think looks really good. And it's like a, it's a, again, in quotations, like a corporate video, but it doesn't really feel like that. Like it's from a big brand. Um, but it definitely feels like very like core and like, you know, just very like by the homies.
Browser is crazy. I didn't know about like Pete's the one that kind of put me onto all that, and now I like watch everything they post, and it like I was saying before, watching skiing kind of makes me anxious in a way because like it seems they can get hurt so easy watching those clips. So cool, but they like honestly gives me a pit in my stomach every time, and I don't think any of them have been like bails. They've all been like just successful clips, but they make me like until I know the person's gonna be okay. The first watch is kind of painful.
Yeah, and it's funny because I think that's like part of the appeal, outside of people who are free skiers or do street skiing. I think that street skiing just has that appeal to the general public because like yeah, like they watch it and they can kind of understand it a little bit. But it's like, it's a lot more hectic than watching somebody ride down like a wide open mountain face or something like that. Like there's so much steel and concrete around and so many things that you could bounce off of.
What about see now I thought I didn't have questions, but the more you say the more it makes me think of things. What about like any animosity again, not hoping for it, I'm just curious. In in the ski scene in general, like do our mountain skiers, what do they think about people like jumping downstairs and rails? Like is everyone kind of accepting of everyone else's take on it, or do people not like the other parts of it?
I think there's like, I don't know, there's kind of like a couple different groups within skiing. Like I would say that like your big mountain free ride guys probably will get along with any street skier that they like see them doing that kind of stuff. But I would say it's more so like maybe like the racers or the people who kind of treat skiing as like a luxury sport, who kind of see street skiing as like a detriment to the sport. But like I think in Alberta it's like hard to run into that. I think you find that more in like those scenes, like maybe in like Whistler, like um, down in the States, like at some of the Vail resorts and stuff like that, where like it is like, there's like two clientele where there's the people who are like working all year just to be able to afford to ski. And then there's the people dropping, $20,000 on a weekend of skiing at Tahoe or something like that.
Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. Like, yeah, that's a perfect answer to a not that thought out question, but hopefully other people get it. That fully answers the curiosity I had. And I know exactly what you mean, like crazy. Like the people in the movies that are like spending like months of rent just on a ski day with their outfit and coffee and everything. They probably kind of look down on the streets that I mean, this is just me, and I don't want to get in trouble for it again. But street skiing is so interesting to me. Like watching it is very cool. Downhill skiing might be one of the most boring things to watch for me.
Yeah, I mean, I have a ton of respect for like guys who like do downhill racing and stuff like that. Like I think video doesn't really do that justice. Like downhill skiing is very, very fast and like very, very dangerous. But there is definitely like the kind of like cultural separation between like ski racing and then free skiing. And I think that that's honestly, there's probably more beef there than there is between like skiing and snowboarding or anything like that, or even like, geographically different crews and stuff like that.
Yeah, I would expect that. Like that again, not wishing for that, but that does make sense. That would kind of be the area where
Yeah.
there's the most pushback.
Well, it's kind of just like, it's like the kind of clean cut group versus the maybe a little bit more rough around the edges kind of side.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, that's in every culture and probably so unfortunate, but yeah, it would exist everywhere. So why not there? All right. You know what? I don't want to keep inventing stuff to ask you about. I think I got all the answers and then more that I was looking for. Now I know about the hard yolk. Now I'm kind of hungry for a banh mi, so that might be on my docket for the day. But beyond that, before we actually hop off, do you want to take a minute to let anyone listening know where they can find you or skiers or the video? I'll obviously link the video and everything in the show notes, but anything you want to promote right now, the mic is yours. Please do.
Yeah, just stream Liar's Hell on YouTube. You can find it at Tesla Coop on YouTube. I have a couple other full links on there. I have a full length skate video I dropped last year. Um, but yeah, other than that, thanks for having me on, Wes. I really, really appreciate this conversation.
Oh yeah, I'm super. I mean, everyone kind of gives me a hard time. This thing like started local and then it kind of like became not as Edmonton centric, and I'm that was never like by design. It just there's less people. I mean, this sounds horrible. I feel there's less people here doing things that they want to come on and talk about. But once I realized I have this new interest in your culture and we knew each other from before, I thought if you were into it, it would make for a good conversation, and then maybe some of the local people would stop politely complaining about the lack of Edmonton people on here. So I appreciate. I was curious. I love the answers, but I also appreciate you being from here, just so I can take that box of someone local coming on here and telling a bit of their story.
Yeah, no, I think that this space that you've created online is incredible, and like it's given definitely like some local people kind of a place to spotlight their stuff. But then I just think it's like when you had Pete on as a guest, I thought that was so cool because I was like, I've been following Pete for a long time, and I just was like, wow, that's so crazy that Wes just had him on his podcast, and now it's the same podcast I'm on. So
That was actually so funny. It was all completely coincidental. Like I had no idea that he was gonna have clips in one of the videos when we went. And then when his name came up on screen, Sarah recognized the name and she was like, "Is that who you recorded with today?" And it was so like funny that it all worked out that way, completely coincidental. Like even me sort of like talking to him and having this interest in skiing started before a bit before going to the skiers thing, but we just ended up there with him being in the video and then you making the video and being on a couple weeks later. It's all a really coincidental but beautiful ecosystem.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Well, enjoy the rest of your day off and the holidays in general. Thing I know it's so hard to get guests to like. It's not their fault. Everyone just has stuff to do this time of year. So I also appreciate you making the time in what is a busy time of year. I don't know if my next couple weeks are gonna be as easy, but thank you for being accommodating and all of that as well. Enjoy everything you need to enjoy. Hopefully, I'll see you in real life soon, and I'll report back about the hard yolk because I'm gonna give that a try.
Yeah, I want to hear your take on the hard yolk.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Yeah, thank you, Wes.
See ya.
Yeah.